Hi, everybody. Welcome to When Calls the Hallmarkies. In this show, we love talking about When Calls the Heart. And we are here to talk about two pretty good episodes from season 12, episodes 10 and 11. Going to be a lot of fun to talk about. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Mary Richards is here.
Hello.
And how are you doing?
Good. We were just comparing notes on the snow we got in
Yeah.
Utah.
Yeah.
So,
It's a
little,
wild morning as we're recording this. We got probably 4 inches, three,
yeah,
4 inches of
yeah.
snow, which is wild.
Fluffy, wet,
So
heavy snow.
luckily, though, they didn't have snow in Hope Valley for these
They did
episodes
not.
because
That's
that,
true.
that would have been hard for little Jack.
I know. With all that was going on, if they'd thrown in like a natural weather phenomenon
Yeah,
too, couldn't
yeah.
have taken it. It would have been rough.
And I mean, do you agree these are two pretty strong episodes?
Wow, there was a lot packed into these, and yeah, it was heavy. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's the word I'm looking for. It was emotional.
yeah.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Well, and we'll talk more about it with episode 11, but this show plays fast and loose with history. They forgot World War One. They, they just move things around. And so when they get something right, I give them credit for getting something right, and they did get something right in these episodes, and I think that's pretty impressive.
Oh, for sure. Yes, when
Yeah,
you pointed that out, I was like, wow.
yeah,
Because I was
yeah,
ready to come in all skeptical, like, they're making stuff up. And then I'm like, oh,
yeah.
no, this is correct.
Basically episode 10 is all about uh they've started to notice that the little Jack is not feeling well. He's
Mhm.
dragging, as you'd say. And then uh we have McGinty suing Lucas.
Yes.
So that's sort of the other plot line. We have Mike wanting to join in the Hallelujah chorus.
Yes.
And then the big fall festival.
Yes. Which started smaller and got bigger. And that's fun.
Yes.
I love
Yeah,
how that happens.
it was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this episode, the boys are super into their comic books, and Jack is like dragging little Jack, and
Sleepy and yeah.
yeah, and so Elizabeth thinks, oh, he's just staying up late while reading comic books,
Hmm. Hmm.
so, and I mean, I'm sure you're a mother, like you've had to, it's got to be hard sometimes to kind of figure out what's happening.
Yes. Well, yes, my daughter this morning was a little kind of draggy and and I'm same thing. And we were up last night for a thing at the school, so you just kind of start to think, is it this, is it that? And you just look for the normal things like, have you had enough water? Have you had enough sleep? And these kinds
Yeah,
of things. Or is it a bit of a cold coming on because it's this winter in Utah keeps going?
yeah,
So yeah, those kinds of things I can see. I was the whole episode, I'm like, oh, I wonder what's wrong. I was completely blown away by the end of this episode. So
yeah,
I started to
yeah.
guess though near the end. But
Yeah, I mean it was interesting because I thought, oh, is he like anemic, or is he,
hmm
I was kind of thinking of different things that it could be. But the fact that they connected this with that he had diabetes, because what's interesting is that not only was the discovery of insulin that happened in 1922, it was also in Toronto. It was in Canada
yeah.
that it happened. And the thing I do like about this show, because it is not historically accurate most of the time, but I do think it's kind of fun when it can sort of set me on a path to learning, like even if
hmm
it's just like, I remember a couple episodes like looking up when meatloaf was first invented, things like that. Like it doesn't matter to me if it gets the details wrong that much, because it's the show that it is. But it's fun to kind of go on some of those Google paths.
Oh, I
you
know.
know,
I love learning about different things in
I
history and
do
what they
too.
would have faced. And on the one hand, it's just a show. On the other hand, I loved learning about this whole thing
Yeah,
because we are, and not giving too much away of their story in this personal life, but my middle son, he's 13, 14, his good friend was just
yeah,
diagnosed last year with diabetes and juvenile,
yeah,
the type 1, and those days of why is he not feeling well, and then um the whole culminating moment that sent him to the
Yeah.
hospital and getting that diagnosis, those were really tender feelings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
And
this
then
was an
yeah.
amazing I guess I never really thought about it. Like what an incredible breakthrough this really
Oh,
was.
yes.
And they saw like almost immediate results with
Mhm.
people. That the first injection was done to a 14-year-old, which I thought was kind of interesting too, that it was a young person, not as
Mhm.
young as little Jack, but still. It
Mhm.
was a 14-year-old was the first person in 1922, Leonard Thompson, first person with type 1 diabetes. And so prior to that, people with type 1 diabetes did not survive for more than a few weeks or months
Yeah,
with
it was a death
diabetes,
sentence.
which
Yeah.
yeah, because when you think, especially then when they had like so little control over what foods they really could eat. I mean, they just had whatever was in season, whatever was. It's not like they had like, oh, well, we can pick all the sugar free or, like
Yeah.
they just had less options food wise at this time.
And even, well, and I think about the difference between adult onset or type 2 and then type 1 with the pancreas really is not doing its job. So
Yeah.
there's a fair amount you can balance with diet and lifestyle changes, but in
For
this
type
particular
2.
case,
Yeah.
you need the insulin or that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says here Thompson's first dose had an apparent impurity, which caused an allergic reaction. A refined process was quickly developed to improve the cow pancreas from which the insulin was derived. His second dosage was successfully injected 12 days later on January 23rd, 1922.
Wow.
It was at the University of Toronto in the summer of 1921 when Frederick Bantling and Charles Best successfully isolated insulin from canine test subjects, produced diabetic symptoms in the animals, and started a program of insulin injections that returned the dogs to normalcy. Their discovery was announced to the world in November 14th of 1921. So that's pretty amazing that it went from their first tests on the dogs
Mm-hmm.
in the summer of 1921 to their first uh, successful trial in January 1922.
The human.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So 2 months later, with the support of John McLeod of the University of Toronto, the two scientists began preparations for the first human insulin treatment to be administered. And it says here, the Canadian teenager improved dramatically, and the University of Toronto immediately gave pharmaceutical companies license to produce insulin free of royalties. By 1923, insulin had become widely available, saving countless lives around the world, earning Bantling and McLeod the Nobel Prize in Medicine. To this day, it is still the shortest period of time that a Nobel Prize was awarded following the discovery of a medical breakthrough.
Wow. It's amazing. And even the advances now. So about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I had a coworker with that she'd been diagnosed at around age 11, and she was in her 20s now, and she would be just check her blood sugar with pricks on her finger, and then she'd give herself in her
Yeah.
thigh. I mean, she'd just do it in the newsroom. We were just like, she was like, "You guys don't mind? My blood sugar's low. I got to take care of this." And we're like, "Sure." And it was
Yeah.
so fascinating to me that this had saved her life. And now our friend, my son's good friend who's 13, it's connected. It's a insulin pump that's just right
Oh,
in his
yeah.
arm. It's connected to his smartphone, so it just warns him you're running high, you're running low, hot or cold. I don't know, all these different
Yeah.
factors, and he's just able to now live and be pretty much a normal boy. And I'm just amazed.
Yeah.
That's of course they got the Nobel Prize. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Oh, it was an incredible miracle.
Yes.
Really an incredible thing. It says in the 1920s, diabetes treatment primarily involved harsh, restrictive diets, including low carbohydrate, high fats diets, and even starvation diets, with the discovery of insulin in 1921 leading to the first successful treatment with insulin injections in 1922. So, yeah. So all you could really eat at the time was probably like a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be so careful.
Probably.
Carbs and sugars and
Yeah. But I was like, did they even know like to do that? Like it was still everything was so new.
the human body
at
is
the
such a
time.
mystery.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah. So we have Lucas is being sued by this McGinty guy. And I think this guy, the actor did a good job.
He did a great job.
He was a good villain.
He's such a good villain. When Nathan and Lucas and McGinty all meet in the meadow, the whole scene where it's like, I'm threatening you. No, I'm threatening you. What are you thinking? And they're holding each other back. Like,
well, yeah, and then bringing in Allie into the whole thing. That was really good. Nathan, getting all heated about it. It was a good villain. He was good. Yeah.
Oh yes. He stayed so calm and steely, like
he did.
Oh, that's why it was great for him to get his comeuppance later.
So Edie has 3 days to satisfy the rent or will lose the ranch. And so, then that's why they meet with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they discover in talking with Allie that McGinty moved trees from Lee's land to his land to prevent people from going into that part of the.
Yeah. He blocked it. He blocked access.
Yeah.
With ash trees. Yes.
Yeah. So and those are only on Lee's land. Evidently. So that was a good luck. They were very lucky about that.
Yeah, they were. Sometimes the writers are like, I have it.
Yeah. So then we have Georgie working with Bill on this investigation, and she wants to shut Rosemary out of the investigation, which is not good on Rosemary.
She was, I wrote down, Rosemary is ticked. Quote, I'm being boxed out of my own investigation.
Yeah. She says, and that's just not, you can't do that with Rosemary. That's not going to fly.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yeah. But I really buy this Bill and Georgie thing. I think that it was a little rushed, and like maybe because we've hardly seen them together at all, and they've been mostly business. And so all of a sudden for them to have this like very kind of weirdly, I thought, staged kiss, it was like very rushed and like, I don't know. It didn't work for me.
It felt out of place.
It did. It felt out of place, and just maybe if they'd had one other episode where they were working together, and it felt out of nowhere.
What's the word when you're building up to that exposition, or like just a little more of them
anticipation?
And yes, because all of a sudden, like, it felt a little bit like he grabbed her.
Yeah, it did. It was sloppy. It felt sort of sloppy, and I'm like, this is not Winkle's the Heart. Like
whoa. And then she, disappears, and we don't see her in their next episode.
Yeah.
So
I would be surprised if we see Georgie again. I think there was enough of a good fan response to that, and I think that she seemed to, from all the interviews that I saw with Melissa Gilbert, she seemed to really enjoy the experience. And so, I mean, I would not be surprised if we see her again next
Oh,
season.
yeah. I would like to. I mean, I look back to that episode when Brooke Shields came on as Jack Thornton's mom and
Yeah.
never heard about her again or saw her again. And it's hard to
Yeah.
bring in a big star, and we're all excited. But yeah, see if they come
Yeah.
back. Like, Georgie, come back. Bill wants to kiss you again.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense with Brooke Shields because she's got like whole other business. And
Yeah,
I think she's the head of the union right now, Equity
way too
Union.
busy.
And so she's super busy. So it makes sense. But like, what else is Melissa Gilbert doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, I would. So who knows? I mean, we have no inside knowledge at all, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see her
Yeah,
again.
I know. I
So,
want every character to have a happy,
yeah.
and if they this, but they could also have some of that tension as well, which is always
Yeah.
exciting. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see.
yeah.
Um, then we have Emily talking with Elizabeth. She's
Mm.
she's interested in uh she's not sure what she wants to do after school.
Yes, she missed the college application deadlines and
Yeah.
such, right? And she
Yeah.
she feels like, well, I'm supposed to be a teacher, and Elizabeth is like, do you want to be? And I thought that was a great conversation to be like, let's really see, what do you want to do and what are you good at and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can be hard. I know for me it was after I finished college was when I was kind of like I didn't really think past this.
Yeah.
I thought about going to law school, but that didn't really feel, I took the LSAT and it was miserable. And I was just like, this is not for me. And, I tried a bunch of different stuff and it ended up going on a mission. And but it was kind of hard to like figure out, okay, what do I do next?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. And Emily's trying to figure that out. And I feel like today in our school system, there can be this, it's working all the way backwards to like little kids. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I don't think they know.
yeah,
You're gonna see different things as you learn and grow and try and find your talents
yeah.
and Emily seems to kind of have a pretty good head for business and Gavin
Yeah.
thinks
Well,
so.
Henry thinks so. Says that he says that Emily has a real mind for business.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. And because she'd been thinking about doing teaching, and
Hmm.
but then she said, I'm not even sure I'm good with kids. I think I just wanted to be like you, which I totally get that. And then Elizabeth says, your future should be yours to decide.
Yeah, great advice.
Yeah. And because it's one thing to be even good with kids, but to teach kids is a whole nother
Oh,
thing,
I know.
Not everybody has that gift.
I've substituted for an hour and it was rough.
Yeah.
Like, I need to learn some classroom management.
Yeah. It's not easy, that's for sure. And I would think it would be especially hard in the one room schoolhouse environment when you've got all these different ages and all these different, like, that would be really tricky. I don't even know how you do it.
The levels of teaching. I always think back to Laura Ingalls Wilder writing about teaching in her first schoolroom, and this one of the students or two of them were older than her. She was 15 or 16, and they were, and she's like, "What am I doing here?"
Oh, yeah.
And then her youngest student was like, what, 4 or 5?
Yeah.
So,
So May and Mike have been planning to do this special meal together. But then people hear about it and they're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be part of it. So it becomes this like big harvest festival for
it
the whole
does.
town.
And they're like, well, I guess we'll have our own little thing later. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Hazelnut Harvest Festival, because they were
Yeah.
using the hazelnuts.
And they are so good together. I just love these two
So
actors together. I I think they might have the best chemistry of anybody.
it's so
They're
natural
so
and cute.
good. Yeah.
It's not like, and I'm not, it's not like over the top, like huge gooey eyes, big fat open mouth kisses. I like you. I like spending time with
Yeah,
you. I
they're
love you.
so cute together.
And they're just, oh,
They do.
I
They have
agree.
very similar personalities. They're both like just adorable. I
They
love them
are.
so
They support
much.
each other. They give each other these little looks like, you want to
Yeah.
sing? I love it. You're a singer.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to make this treat? Oh, let's do it.
I mean, and that's really like the dream, I think, is like finding somebody who just thinks you're the coolest. like just
Yeah.
loves you, and that's what every single girl wants.
You've hit the nail on the head with these two, and I think they're completely underrated because everybody's
Yeah.
spending so much time looking at the Nathan and Elizabeth pairing. These two just they care for each other.
Yeah.
They love each other and they like each other.
Yes.
They support
Yes.
each other. They think each other are the coolest. And
Yeah.
that's exactly
Because
right.
a lot of times I think we think that, oh, well, you got to have like an enemies to lovers arc, which can be so fun and you get that spark and everything. And it can be done so well. But I also just think like people that are just so suited and so cute together is also really fun.
Really,
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I really enjoyed that. We also I forgot to say with the reason why Henry thinks Emily is so good with business is she comes up with this whole sawdust
Oh
on
yeah.
the trees idea. So
That's
it'll be
right.
interesting to see if we see more of Emily, what's going on with that.
She'd ordered a book on sawdust.
Yeah.
We need to now go down the internet research historical rabbit hole about sawdust on trees.
Yeah, that's true. I was so busy with the insulin research, but I feel they only had Martin for a couple of days.
Okay.
Don't you think? I feel like
Yeah.
he's just only in like a such few scenes, and usually it's not like in the big group scenes.
That's
Uh,
true.
I don't know. It's just total speculation, but
That's a
I
good
kind of
point.
wonder.
He's
He did
often in these
have a lot of
smaller.
Martin.
Let's find out. What is he working on? Yeah, there usually is that because is that fitting with the character who kind of keeps like this low profile
Yeah,
and he's
maybe.
kind of or is, but yeah, you're right. He kind of comes up as this like sage mentor and then he disappears.
But May and Mike, they're making mooncakes and butter tarts.
Yeah. Everything about
So
that sounds amazing.
yeah, that sounds delicious.
I uh
So
I have a recipe for gooey butter cake that I'd forgotten about for years. So I pulled it out the weekend and I'm like, kids, I'm gonna make gooey butter cake. And my son was like, everything about that sounds great. Gooey
yeah.
butter cake. And so it's like a St. Louis kind of recipe.
Oh
And
yeah.
so when these guys were talking about we're gonna make, these tarts or torts, I just
Yeah.
thought, that sounds great. Let's have a When Calls the Heart cookbook because I would try it.
Yeah. So they have the moons that they make moon spell cookies.
Yeah.
And yeah, I found a recipe for
Oh,
that. Moon cookies or moon spell cookies are treats made around Samhain, Beltane, or any other wheel of the year celebrations and changing of the seasons. Uh, that I guess it's around Halloween, the
oh,
Samhain Halloween table. Let's see here.
like a
Um,
harvest. Yeah, like this.
Moon cookies are not technically something that's traditional for Samhain. They do come up in a lot of Samhain menus. I found this lady, and so she made them, and they were talking about like Diwali, some of the
Mm.
other. I mean, the other thing I think Diwali is later. I think it's in December, but I could be wrong on that. But I thought so. But
Mm.
it says here as I looked at different moon cookie recipes, they all seem to take on Yule cookies, or Van Kiefer cookies, Austrian vanilla cookies shaped like a moon, a popular flaky cake-like cookie in Hungary and Romania. They're very often
Mm.
made to celebrate Christmas time. In fact, there were several comments on different Pinterest posts from angry Europeans about their holiday treats being associated with moon spells in general. So
Angry
anyway, it's
Europeans.
interesting.
What about angry
Uh,
Canadians?
yeah. It's that says is that let's see here. What else has she got here? It's interesting going into some of the research behind it, but so yeah, and they decide they're going to go to Niagara Falls, try to redo their honeymoon, and I think also like what the like sure everyone deserves like a great honeymoon, but I also think that there's something to be said for somebody that they could just enjoy being they just like love being together.
Yeah.
They don't even need a honeymoon.
Yeah. Just call it a trip or a vacation at this point, or call it,
Yeah.
or just spend some time together, which they wanted to do, and then it became this
Yeah.
festival. But
That's the thing about like my parents is that they generally just really like each other.
that's so good.
They do. My
Yeah.
parents just really like they just find each other interesting. They're very different in many ways, my mom and dad, but
Yeah.
they've never lost that. And that it's definitely like couple goals.
I know. I love that. Yeah.
There, yeah.
When I go in, because my parents live in Missouri, but my in-laws are here in Salt Lake City, and we're over at their house, and I see that they're in this, like they're in the same room. Like she'll do her handwork or, just to be by him. And I think
Yeah.
that's really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were going to be part of this harvest festival, what would be your thing you'd bring? Like your sort of
Yeah.
something that speaks to your family. You were talking about the ooey butter cake.
Gooey butter cake. I'd probably do something pumpkin. I mean,
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's just, I look forward to the fall for pumpkin rolls. It's like a roll up with
Oh,
cream cheese
yes.
filling. Or my mom's favorite dish is like, you've probably had it. It's that like fluffy pumpkin kind of soft cake that's like in a 9 by 13
Oh,
pan.
yeah.
That's
That's
really
good.
good.
That's true. That's all really good.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean for fall, that's true. I do love a pumpkin, like a pumpkin cookie or
Mm,
pumpkin
yeah.
loaf.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I might bring that, like pumpkin chocolate chip loaf.
Yeah.
I do also really like cakey gingerbread.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I do
That
love
feels
that.
very, yeah, we're moving maybe snickerdoodle cinnamon, something with like a
Yeah.
vanilla or cinnamon kind of
Yeah.
base. Because you're moving
Yeah.
away from like well, could you do
Or maybe
like
even a pumpkin pie. I do love pumpkin pie.
a fruit pie if you're are harvesting everything?
Ooh.
Like,
Yeah. I, as long as I had someone to help me make crust,
yeah.
because I'm terrible at crust. But yeah, like an apple pie.
It feels very fall.
Yeah,
Apple
loading
crisp,
up the apples.
apple cobbler, peach cobbler.
Oh, yeah, now I'm getting hungry. Yeah, I think that's what I would do. And then we have this whole confrontation between Lucas, Nathan, McGinty. He says Allie's been trespassing, and Nathan's getting all like, "Ugh."
I love it so much.
It was really fun.
Not worth it. That whole scene. But then
Yeah,
later, how cool and calm and collected Lee is when he's like, "Oh, am I late? Oh, here I am. Hey, yeah, that's my wood. Okay, see ya. I'm not gonna
yeah.
sue, but maybe I will."
So Georgie and Bill interrogating this guy Woody.
Oh yeah, in
Yeah, so
jail.
he's just like a intermediary, right? He doesn't really know that much. It
I
seems
think
like
so.
there's like a higher up guy
Yeah, he seems a
that
little
will
dumb.
that will probably get in the finale, I think.
I bet you're right. We have to kind of, unless there was like a throwaway line about, "Oh yeah, that's all. We're wrapping that all up." Like, did I miss how they just were trying to say like that's all handled, or will we still see a little bit more?
I think we got to see like the
Yeah,
real. So they've arrested Garrison, right?
yeah, yeah.
And then there's this Woody guy
It was
who
just,
I'd like honestly genuinely forgotten about. I'm like, oh, okay.
oh yeah. He's not very bright. Like in the jail,
No.
as Georgie and Bill talked to him, he just didn't seem very bright.
Yeah. So I think that there's somebody who's calling the shots,
Yeah.
someone else that will. I don't know if we have, because I'm trying to think like, so because there's what was his name? There was the guy um that was the political opponent of,
Oh,
what was his name?
oh gosh.
This is why we should have
We need
Caroline.
Caroline.
That guy, he's got like white hair.
Uh-huh.
I can't think of his name. But anyway, so there's that guy, and it's going to be somebody like that, I think, that we'll find out that, and somebody that was after Lucas.
Was it Balfour?
That's, I think you're
No.
right.
Yeah, I'm just Googling. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
Balfour. I think it'd be somebody like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Where this is
So,
like all intertwined, like bad guys and politicians and yeah.
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 So,
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor of this episode of the podcast. It's the new novel Shooting Stars Above by Patricia Levy. In this heartfelt contemporary romance, Patricia Levy takes us on a journey with a best-selling novelist and a federal agent fighting to heal past wounds. Can unconditional love help heal through this epic love story? Order the book at Amazon or Barnes & Noble now for only 99 cents using the affiliate link below. That's only 99 cents for a limited time. Don't miss it.
okay. Then we have, let's see here, last plays. Okay. So then this is when so Allie is very upset because she's like, I'm gonna pay for this $25 fine, and I
Yeah.
want this whole project to just go away, pretend like it never happened. And Elizabeth is like concerned about that.
I loved that because Allie, as she's growing up, is, super smart and competent and figuring these things out, but she's also still a teenage girl. And that's a big, scary thing,
Yeah.
that she feels like this actress did such a good job with the tears in her
Yeah.
eyes and the worry that she really had, and the
Yeah.
adults in her life saying, "We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Jada has really risen to the challenge of
Hmm.
Allie in this season. She really has done a great job
I agree.
with her role.
Yeah, she was so
So
great. Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
So we have Mike singing the Hallelujah chorus, which was kind of funny.
It was really funny.
Like,
I loved it because this is in the fall for them, but we're approaching Easter here in real life, and I
yeah.
need to go listen to that again. That's a great, great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we have Bill threatening McGinty,
Yep,
and basically they get a deal because of this.
that was a
And
good scene.
yeah, it was
Such a
good.
good one.
Yeah. And then we get the Harvest Festival, and this one Mike and May say, "Oh, we're gonna go to Niagara Falls," and so they think that they're gonna get to go on their trip, but they're
Yeah,
really not.
they're not. They're going to
No,
save the day, though.
they're gonna save the day, which was so sweet, nice. And then we have all the charges dropped and Allie, and because Oliver got the evidence and
Mhm.
figured everything out. So yeah, I do you think we're gonna get an Oliver Allie kiss? Do you think they're gonna go
I
there for the
There was a
finale?
moment in episode 11 where it looked like something wanted to happen, like either holding a hand or grabbing an arm or giving a hug. It
Yeah.
was like just back and forth, like I don't know if I can. You're really good. I like you.
The
So
only thing is I feel like it's a little tricky because what's Endgame with this?
exactly.
They're so
Still
young.
young. They're still young.
But like maybe if it was like just like a cute little moment,
Yeah.
not like some big, like
Oh yeah,
like
no.
I'd almost more like just a cute little peck on the cheek or something like that. I
That would
think
be appropriate.
I
Yeah.
think that would be cute.
As
That
a
would be
mother of
cute.
teenagers, I would be fine with that
Yeah.
level of affection.
Yes.
Anything more? Let's nip that in the bud.
Yeah. So then we also got Georgie meeting Goldie and then telling Rosemary, nice job on the DeMarco maneuver.
Oh yeah, yes.
But she really should be complimenting Elizabeth
I know.
on that.
But
I
I
guess
think
it was
Rosemary
Rosemary's
needed it more.
idea, but
Yeah.
still.
Rosemary needed it more. You can see her kind of preen a little, like, that's right.
Yeah.
It has a name.
So Nathan gives Jack a baseball glove and then he runs off and then Elizabeth says the fact he runs off like that means he's comfortable with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I'm like, shouldn't they play catch? But then he was like, thanks, Mountain Nathan. Phew, to the boys.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
That's true. I mean that when they have that level of comfort, it does show that they're not trying to like impress you or
Oh yeah.
that I can understand. I can see what she's saying there.
Yeah.
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 This is when we get the Georgie Bill kiss, and it was just not the best. I didn't love
I kind of, if somebody had done that to me, I would have been like, whoa, like that's a little, I mean, you want to be swept off your feet, but not like accosted.
Yeah. It really was. It was kind of sloppy, and it just wasn't like they haven't built it up. They haven't earned it, I don't think.
Yeah.
They haven't earned that kiss. And Rosemary, you're in love with Georgie. You'll have to solve the case to impress her.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the crazy thing was, I felt like the episode was winding down right here. I'm like, oh, I guess
yeah.
the credits are coming soon. And then I remembered I'd seen these previews where Jack was missing. And I'm like, oh, we've got a whole twist coming with like 30
Yeah.
seconds to go.
So
Look forward to that.
he's missing and his pony is missing and then he's passed out and then that's when Faith makes the announcement at the end of the episode that little Jack has diabetes.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. So it's big deal, big deal.
Hmm.
So episode 11 is where the main focus of this episode is on getting treatment for little Jack.
Yeah,
And
almost the whole thing is
uh
all around this
yeah,
very key thing.
yeah, and I think this was a very good episode of One Calls the Heart.
Oh man, Twitter on Sunday night, just everybody, where are the Kleenexes? Where are the
Yeah,
tissues? This is really, really sad. I can't take it. I can't take it. And I'm thinking, this has to have a good ending. Like they're not
sure.
gonna, that's what kind of helped me from getting too too emotional, too sad.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to kill off Lil Jack.
Yeah.
Like that would be crazy.
Yeah.
But they, I don't know, it was just like the good mixture of heart and a believable storyline.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I just think this is what you watch the show for.
Yes. Oh, yes. And that support, the
Yeah.
whole town
Yes.
is just right there. Like one of us is hurting, and so we are
Yeah.
hurting, you know? And
Yeah.
prayer, oh my goodness, the themes of prayer and faith and hope were really poignant. This was a good
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Merch Store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies Merch Store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
We have Elizabeth starting out. There's only one word. Why? Why did this happen? And that's going to be a very you know, understandable question to be asking.
Absolutely.
Do ask why.
Absolutely.
And then they find out the study with the insulin. May discovers it.
Oh, she's amazing.
And looking her pharmacy articles.
Mhm.
And in this, where the first person to use it was 14. It was in Toronto, which they got right, which I thought was impressive for this show.
Mhm.
And so Elizabeth writes a letter, and
Yeah.
and then basically they find out that they have to have 10 possible patients
Right. For a territorial clinic.
for clinic.
Yeah.
And they're able to get they start working on it. They're able to get 9 people, but then one has a sister who might be interested, once she sees.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So that was that. So yeah, as they were trying to get the word out and find out, and can anybody tell us? And okay, we've got 1, we've got 2. That was really, you're like, are they going to make it?
Yeah.
And there was a part in the beginning where they were packing up food or helping do a meal for Elizabeth, where they talked about ice. And Ned's going to order more ice. And so I thought, oh, insulin has to be kept cold. This is going to come to play later, the whole cold chain. But then it didn't really, or maybe I missed it later, how they packaged it. But anyway.
Yeah, it was in like a little cooler kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
so maybe they just assumed, and they're like, our viewers are smart. They're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
I didn't need it
Yeah,
spelled
that
out
was
for
interesting.
me.
But I really did like in that scene that you're talking about, because it showed well, like just the way different people handle trauma.
Mhm.
And so Rosemary just needs to keep busy, needs to keep doing things. Where like Minnie, she's just sort of wants to talk it out, and May's response, Faith's response. I like that they showed that. And Minnie says it's important to let ourselves feel.
Mm.
And it kind of let everybody feel how they express it.
Yes, this grief, really, this worry. Yes, whether it's staying busy, or it's trying to find a solution, or it's let me sit and process this. And
Yeah. Because I mean, especially if you think back then, where this is just being invented,
Mhm.
now I think we wouldn't feel maybe the same degree of panic, but we would still obviously be very concerned.
Well, and like we talked about in the last episode, they haven't really shown too much of this but for this time period, still there were childhood diseases and things that killed people quickly. Cholera,
Yeah.
dysentery, typhoid, tuberculosis or consumption,
Even
all
just the flu. I
the
mean,
flu,
yeah.
and the flu of 1920,
Yeah, that's true.
these things
Yeah.
you would have seen death among children, but it still obviously does not make it less hard. So they really
Yeah.
are thinking little Jack could die.
It's true. There's a really good movie that's called Bright Star. It's not the musical Bright Star. This is different. It's about Keats, the poet Keats.
Oh,
It's a very good movie. And this relationship that he had with this woman, and it's beautifully filmed, beautifully done. And one of the things about the movie is uh that basically like he gets cold and wet one night and that's it. That's he's sick. Everything that basically kills him. And that
wow.
was like there's even a line basically in that movie where they talk about like you get cold once, you could
Oh,
die, and we don't think about it that way, but
mm.
it's true. Like if your body shuts down, gets overheated or underheated, like that's it. You could die.
Oh, I know.
Like
I
a different
know.
world,
Yeah.
you
And that
know?
doesn't mean that I think about that all the time. If you'd lost, half or even more of your children, would you still
Yeah.
would grieve less, even if death was all around you. So at
Uh,
this time period, even knowing little Jack could die, it doesn't make it less hard.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point too.
That's
That
not
we
my
think it
thought.
wasn't as hard, but no, it was still like if
Yeah.
you look at like Emma Smith and just
Mhm.
everything that she went through.
Almost all her
Oh,
babies died.
yeah.
Yeah,
Brutal.
I know.
Brutal. But okay, let's see here. Where are we? So yeah, so Jack's pony is missing. And that was kind of symbolic.
It really now
Um,
that you say that, I'm like, oh, of course. I'm
yeah.
like, why is this random storyline? It was symbolic that you
Yeah.
you should be a theater and film critic.
Oh, okay. But the only thing that I really wish they had Nathan and Elizabeth just get married at the beginning of the season,
Oh, okay.
because a lot of
Thank
these
you.
scenes just feel like a little much
Hey,
for an engaged couple, and not even engaged, just a
they're
dating
not
couple.
even engaged. Thank you so much. I felt like I couldn't say that out loud, but I was like, they should be married. This is
Yeah.
this is something you lean on your spouse for. These are
Yeah.
things Bill gave said we've Hargraves has approved you a leave of absence. That's a thing for a father.
Yeah. It's
It's
true. I mean, especially
great that
back
they,
then.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Bill taking over for Nathan, the way that they're just like homesteading together, the way they're nesting together, it just
be
doesn't
married.
make sense.
Support each other, be in the same home. I'll
Yeah.
stay up with little Jack right now while you get some sleep because
Yeah.
we are in this together. You obviously have that as your dating, but they're not even engaged. But for especially for the time period
Yeah.
and today, anybody listening, get married.
Yeah.
The
I
research
mean,
shows. Just kidding.
yeah, it doesn't make sense for that time, and it just doesn't make sense for these people and their
Yeah.
personalities and everything. So I think that's what they should have done. But still, it's sweet, and
Yes.
I thought the prayer led by Joseph was really nice.
I loved that. He said, Joseph tells Elizabeth, you are not in this alone. And then they gather in a circle and he says, who can say how life pushes up from darkness? And
Yeah,
then
that was
yeah,
nice.
oh, his prayer was when you just need comfort.
Yeah, because people describe. I was just having a tiff with somebody on Twitter about the saying this is because I would call When Calls the Heart a weeknight soap opera. I
Yeah,
would call it a
that's fair.
weeknight. Yeah, I think that it's got the melodrama. It's all about and I don't I don't think that's like an insult. I fully respect what they're doing. And oh no, it's a faith-based show. No, it's not. No, it's not. They didn't have a pastor for over 3 seasons on this
Yeah,
show.
they
They
didn't.
almost never show characters praying or talking about Jesus or talking about any other faith. it's not like they're reading the Bible all the time. Like this is not a faith-based show.
Mhm.
So the very rare moments when we actually see some demonstration of faith, it stands out because it is so rare.
That's
I
a good
mean,
point.
so I mean, people will fight me on that, but absolutely, I will stand by that. This is
Yeah.
not a faith-based
No,
show.
they haven't seen others. I tried another show on another network, and it was like every other sentence they were talking about this, and
Oh yeah,
that was a faith-based show.
yes,
Yeah.
like yeah. I mean, something obviously like The Chosen is different because The Chosen is literally about
Yeah.
Jesus, but like something along those lines is trying to be more faith-centered.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
So it was a very nice moment, and I think well done by all involved.
Very well done.
Very good. Because even if you don't believe, I think like participating in that kind of group moment, because I've had lots of times when I've had prayers with non-believers, and
Mhm.
it's because it's about communing with your friend, not about, oh, I don't necessarily believe exactly the same thing.
Yeah. To me, it's about connecting, and that we are all in this, and this is a community where and that's what I see here too.
Yeah.
You know, where you
Yeah.
are leaning on each other to say, I recognize that I need some more help here.
Yeah. So Henry says there's a solution to every problem because Lucas is feeling pretty discouraged, and so yeah, that was a nice moment. And Cooper feeling bad about losing Jack,
Yeah.
and so that's when he gets the idea of putting on this baseball game for Jack, and they basically do it on the radio that Cooper and Donnie are doing the play-by-play because they get the calls of what's happened through like a grapevine kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
They have a spotter on the balcony who's watching the play, who then tells it to Allie, who doesn't
Yeah,
know all the terms, and she comes and relays it.
yeah,
This whole thing, I absolutely loved it.
yeah,
I
it's
thought
fun.
this is a lighter, sweet, sweet moment in the middle of this heaviness. And I fell in love with radio because I listened to baseball on the radio in St. Louis. And so the play-by-play,
Yeah,
the right play-by-play announcer, oh, you're just right there in the action. So
yeah,
them trying to like do it, and the best part was all the adults with popcorn watching them instead of going
yeah,
to
that was
the
fun.
game. They were like they're in the room watching them like, is it a home run? Is it? Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that Leland was enjoying it the most.
Oh, so
It
much.
was
His
really funny.
bills. He was just in it like these boys, the thick
Yeah.
so much fun.
So there's a problem transporting the insulin. They need the 10 patients, and that's when they,
Mhm.
start getting to work.
Mhm.
And we have Jack having to stay at the clinic with Faith.
Yeah, that's a
That
hard thing.
was,
That was
yeah,
my friend and her son. When he was hospitalized, it's like, oh my goodness, I this is real. Like he's
yeah,
here. Yeah, that was sad for Elizabeth as a mom. I had a baby stay overnight at the not the NICU, but the ICU at Primary Children's Hospital when he was new for jaundice care, and it about tore me apart.
yeah,
My little baby there on this huge hospital bed, and and just feel so helpless.
yeah. My mom had a baby at that. I think it was similar. My just younger sister Megan, she was born I think a month early, so
Mm.
it might have been NICU. But anyway, yeah, she had to be in one of the light boxes and
Yes,
things like that.
that was my
Yeah,
son. Yeah. Oh,
that would be hard.
it's so
That'd be
sweet. I'm so
really
little
hard.
in there. And
Yeah.
that baby is now 19 and doing great. And I still sometimes flash back to that little
Yeah. It's tough times. That's when you need the community,
for sure.
to rally around you.
And
And
yeah,
yeah.
and they did that for her.
And Minnie says, when you feel lost is where you find the faith.
Oh, I loved that too. I wrote that down. When she talks about Angela when she was diagnosed, I felt lost and so much doubt. But like you said, that's when you find faith. You look at the ground under your feet. You look at what you need to know in that moment. I love that kind of step by step. You
Uh,
kind of then move forward.
yeah. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
then there's a accident on the train. So they have to to get the insulin.
My husband's like, it's
Uh,
just a show. It's going to be
drama,
okay.
the
The
drama. Yeah.
drama. And no
And
one was
then
sleeping. They were
when they
all awake.
get when they get the insulin, they give it to him, and then I'm the happiest I've ever been. You know, the relief you'd feel.
Mhm.
And then they sing the hallelujah and they do the blessings of the animals. That was like a harvest thing.
Oh yeah, that's what that was. Because
Yeah.
yeah, they were all there. The pony was back. And I missed
Yes,
the
the
part when they
pony's
found the
back.
pony.
And then it was really funny. Rosemary's like, we should get a dog.
That was cute.
That
I
was
needed that
funny.
kind of levity at the end of like,
Yeah.
you know, and
Ugh.
he's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And Nathan says, there's nothing's more important than this. There's nowhere I'd rather be than with you. It was very
Yeah,
sweet.
that was sweet. And they talk about having a whole lifetime to figure this out. That's when again I yelled at the screen, get married.
Yeah. I was like, he should have just proposed then.
That would have been the moment. She does not need to plan a big wedding again.
Yep. And
Big
she doesn't need the
crazy.
big proposal again. She's
No,
already had
10,000
they
candles.
10,000 candles. Yeah, they've already sold out the Bed Bath and Beyond
Yeah.
candles.
In that
Uh
moment, he could have been like, I want to marry you.
I
Let's get,
think that would have been a really good moment to be like, let's get married.
yeah,
Then that would have been like a great lead into the finale.
exactly.
But yeah.
What
But and then she's because today feels like the worst and best day of my life,
mm,
which makes sense. And that was good.
totally. Hmm.
So yeah, it's a good episode. What calls the heart, and a good little arc that they had, and you got to give some credit to what's his name, to little Jack
Yeah.
Highland what's
Oh, Highland. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
yeah, little
He did
Jack.
well. And whoever, I'm sure they were doing makeup because his face was so pale with the brown circles. And
Highland Goodrich. Yeah, I was gonna say Highland Rich, but I was like, no, that's not right. Highland Goodrich
hmm.
is the little actor's name, and I think he did a very good job.
Oh, yeah. When Nathan comes out in that last episode with him like draped in his arms, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And most of the time in this episode, he spent sleeping and looking sad and ill on
Yeah.
the couch or in the bed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he did very good. And so there we go. That is these episodes. Let us know what you think of these episodes. Did you enjoy them as much as we did? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What are you thinking for the finale? What are you expecting? I think we will get a proposal. I would be shocked if we don't get a proposal in the finale. I'd be annoyed if we
What are
don't.
they waiting for? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nonsensical at this point. So I think that's what's coming. I think we'll get a proposal in the finale. I think we will get some kind of resolution about the Garrison gang and everything. And I think those are the two main threads still hanging, right?
Yeah, I think
Or
so
I guess
too. And
something with
Lucas.
Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah. If he's going to be
Lucas and
recalled.
Edie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, his whole political career. I think maybe those three threads. Yeah.
Yeah, because he basically is giving up his chance of reelection, is
Hmm.
what he says in this. And because of this whole thing
Hmm.
with the
The
with the
park and
executive action order that he's doing and all
yeah.
of that. So I think those are the three main threads left
Yeah. And it
for
should
the
all
finale.
come in a tidy bow, and then we'll see how they end it if they decide to end with a cliffhanger on the finale
Yeah.
or, have it be a nice, yeah, we'll see.
They usually don't do too bad at cliffhangers for When Calls the Heart. Usually I feel like,
Except
but
for, yeah, no, that's true. Most of them can be kind of explained or picked up
yeah,
easily in the following season. And
like except for
Hargraves and I know something about your husband.
oh
That
yeah,
happened last season.
that's true.
And everyone was like, Jack's alive. And everybody else was like,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. They just leave that on a
I
cliffhanger.
found out something about your husband you need to know. And then it's his medal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, let us know what you think in the comment section or on Twitter. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Mary, where can people follow you?
I'm on Twitter @_Mary Richards, or look for Reporter Mary Richards on Instagram and Facebook.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That's a free way that you can really, really help us a lot. Those positive reviews, 5 stars, it really on iTunes helps us so much. And then we also have our Patreon group, which is a great way you can support us. And we try to make it really worth your investment. So we have monthly watch alongs, Q&As. We have our Facebook group. We have other bonus episodes that you can listen to, things like that. So I think you find it well worth your contributions. So check that out. And then we have the merch store where we have tons of Hardy's inspired merch in the merch store. So check that out. And I would really appreciate it. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.